Okay, so one of the things that's been extremely helpful for me in the past is really, mapping out the fingerboard with chords and the triads and really just, doing that over and over and over again until I can really see these and they become, part of your long list of fundamentals, right? So you want to be able to forget this stuff as time moves on, and that's what progressing is on the guitar, and being able to actually play stuff up to tempo and have these home base kind of areas that you feel comfortable on. So one way to open up the fingerboard is to, once you've learned, the cage system and your major chord shapes, is we start being able to build and see the major, minor, dominant 7, major 7. We see how to build these chords and obtain these sounds by breaking these big chord shapes down into triads and then deconstructing those and seeing these shapes. Now, of course, this takes practice. Don't let this overwhelm you. It's a very simple concept that you just, you can take these little parts at a time and it will start coming together and it will make sense. And this is gold on the guitar fingerboard. So if I take this A chord here, I'm going to break this down into 3 different triads. But first, when I say the 1, 3, 5, you'll hear me talk about that. A major triad is built on the 1, 3, 5. So the 1, 3, 5 comes from the degrees of the major scale. So if I'm playing this A chord, I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again. That's a full octave, right? So that's where those numbers come from, the degrees of the major scale. So if I take this triad, here's my 1, which is the root note, A, then the 5, E, then the major 3rd, C sharp. Okay, that's a proper triad. So in any inversion of this chord, the triad, anywhere on the fingerboard, this rule applies. Any key, any inversion, as long as it's a proper 1, 3, 5 major triad. If I'm going for a major 7 sound, I'm going to drop that tonic down a half step. Okay, if I'm going for a dominant 7 sound, if I want to make a dominant 7 chord, I drop the root or the tonic, the A, down a whole step. That gives me the dominant 7 sound. If I want a minor, I drop the major 3rd down a half step. Now when I manipulate these single notes like that, down or up or whatever to get those chords, all the other notes in that triad are staying the same. Like when I go down with the major 7, the 3 and the 5 are staying the same. We're just building those chords out of that major. So they're always 3 notes and they're always out of the 1, 3, 5 major triad. So if I go up here to this D shape, A chord, now my tonic is on the B string, my 3rd is on the high E string, and my 5 is on the G string. So this is a different inversion. So this is where the good practice comes in, is now I'm looking at where that 1 is, I'm dropping that down to the major 7. There's the dominant 7, the 1 goes down a whole step, the 5 and the 3 stay the same. Then there's the minor. So now, once we do this over and over again and we start to see these, this is directly related to being able to play any blistering lead guitar that you want to be able to play. Because now you're seeing the foundation of where this comes from, so you're never lost on the fingerboard. This is a huge, huge lesson and a huge, huge thing to work on if you really want to get past the major and minor pentatonic box. This is the way to open it up. First, we need to hear these really important sounds: major, minor, dominant 7, major 7. Then we learn how to start outlining those and how to emphasize those notes that change in the chord to give us those sounds when we're outlining the chord. I know that's a lot, but this is a major, major milestone if you can work on this, and hopefully this makes sense to you, because it is a huge lesson and open up the fingerboard. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you got something out of that, and thanks for being here.